Hey now, this is my whiteboard, and this is how I'm trying to memorize all the different types of agar plates that could be used to identify different types of microorganisms. So I'm going to go over today, right now, how I'm going to do that. What is an agar plate, first of all? An agar plate kind of looks like this. Okay, you see it in the doctor's office. It's kind of like this little disc-shaped thing. A lot of times, usually there's some red stuff inside, right? So, usually that's what it looks like. And that right here is supposed to represent like a Q-tip or a swab. You might take a culture, like grab something from the back of someone's throat. You see like some weird like white dots on the back of someone's throat or something like that, and you wipe it on this plate and you see what grows. Now there's certain ways that you can treat this agar plate to differentiate and see what's actually growing there, because if you just swipe it, there's certain bacteria that might take over and you won't be able to see the pathologic bacteria because of the bacteria that are native to the mouth that are out competing that bacteria. There might be certain bacteria that are more difficult to see without certain stains and things of that nature. So let's talk about exactly how we get down. Let's start with the general purpose nutrient agar. That's your general purpose, nothing really special about it. And it's used to grow non-fastidious microorganisms. What does that mean, non-fastidious? That means it's not sticking to things, right? It doesn't hold fast to things. So one way to think about that is you have your agar plate, you take it upside down, you shake it around a bit, nothing really comes out. And that's probably because the liquid gel that's in there moves slowly. So it's not fast. You get that? Okay. Pretty simple, easy way to remember it. Mueller Hinton agar, also known as Kirby Bauer discs. This is toughy, but came up with something thanks to my man Elon. Mueller, Rob Mueller, Hillary Clinton, Hinton. These are politicians, and actually what this is used to test Neisseria or Moraxella. So we think about Hillary Clinton, we think about Rob Mueller having a debate over in Scotland, right with a Loch Ness monster right behind them. They don't have a lot of morals. We know this to be true. They're always lying. And so remember the word morals, or remember Moraxella. And the thing is that it's used to test antibiotic susceptibility. We put some starch in there to make it as a barrier, and it's not usually lethal to the bacteria, but it will slow down their growth. So if you think about it, that politicians are annoying, but they won't kill you, usually, hopefully. Could, but usually they're just talking to you and trying to convince you to do something that's whatever. All right. So it is used to test antibiotic susceptibility, right? And you think about Mueller and Hinton, they're having a debate, they're sparring each other, they're trying to test each other's susceptibility to things. Also, a starch barrier can be placed in between different parts of the agar plate to make separations. So if you think about politicians, they usually wear starch shirts, they're trying to look all impressive and stiff. So there you go. So let's move to the next one, macaques. If you take out the ACC, macaques, you think about monkey. It almost sounds like monkey if you say macaques fast, monkeys, right? So what does macaques do? Okay, well actually, let's get to it. Macaques, you can see I have a nice monkey with a nice little smile here. And we see over here, what is that? That's a liver, right? That's placed appropriately for the liver. Why is it green? The liver is red. Well, the thing is that we're really concentrating on the bile that's leaking out of this guy. And you see these little black dots over here that actually is supposed to represent salts. So it's actually bile salts inhibit the growth of, you see how he's stepping on this graham cracker? That means that he's inhibiting its growth, and he's inhibiting the growth of gram-positive bacteria. So macaques, right, you add bile salts and you inhibit the growth of gram-positive bacteria. What else happens? You see he's holding this milk, and you see that he's holding this acid over here. And actually, these products are turning his hands red. One thing that's a little bit tricky about this picture is you have to remember that it's not actually lactose or milk that's causing the issue, it's lactic acid. So there's the milk, there's the acid, right? So what happens is that these acid reactions turn clear to red. So you can see his clear arm over here, right? He's not colored in, will turn red. Okay, and that way you can remember everything that you need to with macaques. Let's move on to Bordei gangu. Okay, so Bordei gangu is used to test for Bordetella. It's pretty straightforward. Now, You can see over here, here's a border. Here's a Gengar, so that's their Borde Gangu. And he's saying, I'm going to whoop you to this poor guy who's coughing over here. So that tells you that this disease is associated, or this bacteria is associated with whooping cough. Okay, so the question could go, someone comes in, they have a cough. You run a swipe, the agar plate, and which one do you choose to run? He has suspicion of having whooping cough. Well, who's whooping? Who's coughing? Which picture is that? That's the Borde Gangu. Okay? Let's move on to the buffered charcoal yeast. We have a legionnaire, a soldier, right? And he's pretty buff. He's got this charcoal in his hand. Now, why did I put it on a string? I like to think about things in motion. So if he's swinging that charcoal around, then it's just a little bit more exciting. He also has his bread over here, and he's got his hand on his crotch area. Unfortunately, he has a yeast infection from messing around. Those buff guys, they be, having some action, and unfortunately he got a little infected right there, and now he's got a yeast infection. So, you have Legionella. You remember buffered charcoal yeast. You have buffered charcoal yeast. You remember it's associated with the soldier, aka the Legionnaire or Legionella. All right, let's move right along. Here we have this test over here. Sometimes I didn't put the full names on things like that just because I want you to try to make the associations yourself. Okay? If you want, you could recopy these pictures into your notes, or you could just draw them out yourself. Probably you'll draw them better. Whatever, let's just get to the business. So, this agar plate is used to test for Haemophilus influenzae. We can see this person lying in bed, probably has influenza. It doesn't look like it's really that serious. But we see some things that are funny about this guy. He's got a weird eyeglasses on. Okay, those are actual virtual reality glasses. And he's got an X on his arm because he's actually an X-Man. I like comics, so just makes it easy to remember. And this guy's superpower is that those glasses are actual virtual reality glasses, so it tells us that V and X fragments are actually shed by this particular agar plate and microbiology specimen, Haemophilus influenzae. It's shed by this particular organism. And which type of agar plate is this? Well, what is this in his hand? You might think it's a phone, but actually you see these little things poking out. That's actually supposed to be a wrapper, so he's actually holding some chocolate. He's feeling bad, he got some chocolate, and it's chocolate agar. Okay? Let's move on to this one over here, Thayer Martin. You may have heard of a weapons manufacturer known as Lockheed Martin. This is his crazy cousin, Thayer, okay, also in the weapons business. Now you can see that he is, besides holding these weapons, he has Neisseria behind him, Nessie, or Loch Ness Monster. This Neisseria can cause a couple things. It can cause, now this thing over here on Nessie's head, if you use the Sketchy Medical series, you'll see that they use meningitis with some kind of meningitis helmet. So that's like the meningitis helmet. I do actually recommend that product. We'll have a video on that coming soon. But they don't have everything, so sometimes you got to make up your own. And it's nice to have those little memory clues that you can just tap into and use them on your own for other things. So here we have Thayer Martin, and we can see that his head, right, there's some red stuff around it. We see in his crotch area there's some red stuff around it. Okay, the diseases that this tests for, it tests for meningitis and it tests for gonorrhea. So if you think about it, Thayer Martin, this crazy guy running around, this Kim Jong-il looking guy, he got himself some STDs from just basically being a bad guy, and he also has meningitis. To help you remember, it's gonorrhea and not a yeast infection, all right? He has a belt buckle that has a G, and it's kind of like falling off and covering his crotch, so that just helps you remember it's gonorrhea, okay? All right. XLD. This is an odd name for an agar plate, but it's there, so let's take a look. XLD, when I turn to the side, I can turn it into emoticons. You see over here XL, XD, and it becomes these dancing guys who are stomping on these graham crackers. That means, once again, it is inhibiting the growth of the gram-positive organisms. XL can be similar to a xylose, and a test for Shigella, and a test for Salmonella. All right? So how can we remember Shigella and Salmonella? Well, we might remember that these guys over here, I'm going to draw a salmonella. We usually associate that with what? With chicken, right? So I'm going to give this guy a chicken wing over here. A blue chicken wing, really? Well, I guess it's a blue chicken wing. It's bad. That's why he's getting salmonella, because that might look like an ice cream cone. Oh well. Hey, you know what? If you guys can draw better, I'm not mad at that. Actually, please help us out and send us a GIF or a JPEG in the comments and descriptions, and then we will, or email it to us, or put us on our Facebook page, and we'll use it in the next video, and we'll give you a shout out. Alright, let's move on. Okay, so that's XLD. Okay, this guy over here, once again, I kind of took the idea from Sketchy, right? This is talking about the Mannitol plate. Mannitol, or tall man. Okay, but I made some little changes over here. The Mannitol plate over here, we can see that we have a rod here, or a staff, going horizontally. Okay, and you can tell it's tall because his arms and legs are ridiculously long, right? So the staff is testing for Staphylococcus, right? You can see these little dots over here. Staphylococcus, and it's actually a negative test, right? So the thing is that you can see it's moving in a horizontal fashion like a negative sign. That's red. And then if it has a plus, you can see that cross on its chest. That's actually, should be more of a yellow color, but I don't have any yellow pens, so I had to use an orange one, which is moving from red towards yellow, so that's good because that's basically what will happen. It could be orange actually, right, in the actual agar plate, or it doesn't have to necessarily turn completely yellow, although sometimes it does. So, right, that would be positive. And you can see over here he's crying, right? He's salty. That's because the way that this particular mannitol solution works is it has a high concentration of salt. Okay, we're almost done. I think we just have 3 more, so let's get it done. Lowenstein-Jensen. A lot of old people, they always like to say, those kids today, why they always got their genes low, right? Low genes. Lowenstein-Jensen, I remember low genes. And what you can remember is that there's this guy over here, and he's actually, if you even think about it, a lot of these people, these kids who are wearing low jeans, they may be in the graffiti culture, they may be into hip-hop, or they may be ravers, right? Usually into that type of thing. Totally stereotyping over here, right? Oh well. Hey, I used to be in that industry, so hey, not that makes it okay. Whatever. Well, it's just a way to remember it. And he's Myco, right? Myco. He might be in the metro system or the New York City subway system, and he's tagging up. So you can see that that's just a way to remember low genes. Where is he tagging up? He's tagging up in the Myco, right? Saboraud. Do you ever know Sauron from Lord of the Rings? That's my rendition right there of Christopher Lee. And you can see he's surrounded by these fungi. So it's really used to test for fungi, and you can see over here there's a staff, right? So could be that's associated with this particular idea as well, of testing for Staphylococcus. Let's get to the triple sugar iron agar over here. You can see I have 3 sugar cubes, got 3 swords over here, or pieces of iron. Okay, they could have been guns, but I made them swords. The thing about the sword is you can see that the tips are turning orange or yellowish, right? That's what triple sugar iron agar will do. It will make these substances yellow, but what will cause it to turn yellow? What type of organisms are we looking for with this particular plate? So you can see here's the graham crackers again, but they've gone bad, and they're all broken up. Before we could see here was a complete graham cracker, right? These guys each had a complete graham cracker on them, right? The XLD guys. But this one over here, the graham cracker's been fractured, and it's all old and purpley looking. So this is really a test for gram-negative bacteria. And there you go. You have hopefully an easy picmonic / sketchy way of memorizing all this information. I hope it's useful to you. Have a good one. Alright, that's it. Thanks for checking out SGU TV. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out our other videos.